Okay, so get this. AI using computers like we do, moving the mouse, typing, even goofing up and clicking the wrong thing. It's happening, and we're diving into all of it today. You've sent us a fascinating stack of articles about Anthropic's Claude AI and this computer use thing. It's like AI just learned to use a keyboard and mouse, huge EE implications.
It is groundbreaking. We're not just talking about AI generating code anymore.
Yeah.
But actually interacting with software, websites, you name it.
Why?
The potential here is massive, but so are the risks. That's what makes these articles so fascinating. They lay it all out. The excitement, A&D, the cautionary stuff.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, this new version, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, it scored almost 15% on that OSWorld test, which is basically how well an AI can use a computer, like a human.
Yeah.
The last one was under 8%. That's a huge GE jump, like almost double.
It is a significant jump, and it shows just how fast this tech is advancing. What's so fascinating is it's not just mimicking what we do, it's actually understanding the task at hand.
Okay, so how is this actually being used right now? Give me an example.
Riplet, a company that lets you run code in your browser. They're already using Claude to test their apps during development.
So it's like an AI test pilot for software. That's incredible. What about other applications?
Another article mentioned GitLab. They're using Claude in their development too, especially for those really complex DevSecOps tasks. They actually found that Claude's reasoning got 10% better when it was able to interact with their systems, like a human developer would.
Imagine if your team was suddenly 10% better at their jobs just by using this AI.
Okay, that's huge. But these articles also said that this whole computer use thing, it's still experimental. Are we talking glitches in the matrix levels of experimental?
It's more like the early days of a toddler with a fork, you know? There are going to be misclicks, typos, maybe a few frustrated keyboard slams. Anthropic even calls it experimental and prone to errors at this point.
All right, so maybe not taking over the world just yet. But how does it even work? Does Claude have tiny robot hands somewhere diligently typing away?
Not quite. It's all done through a special API that Anthropic built. Think of it like a translator between you and Claude. Okay, so walk me through it. Let's say I need to, I don't know, pull some data from a spreadsheet and then use it to update a website.
You can tell Claude to do that. And the API would translate those instructions into actual computer commands. Then Claude would use those commands to open the spreadsheet, find the data, open the web browser, go to the right website editor, and update the info.
Okay, so no robot hands, but still, the fact that it can even understand and then do those instructions, that's mind-blowing. It's like AI just learned to speak computer.
It's a whole new level of AI and humans actually interacting. And it gets even more interesting when you look at the benchmarks. Remember how I mentioned Claude's coding got way better?
Yeah.
Well, its score on that SWE bench verify test, it jumped from 33 to almost 50% just from this new computer usability.
Hold on, so being able to use a computer actually makes it better at coding. That seems obvious for a human, but for AI?
It's all about context. By actually interacting with the tools and stuff that developers use every day. Claude's building up this deeper understanding of the whole coding process itself. It's not just writing code, it's understanding how it's used, how it all works together, how it affects the person actually using the software.
That makes sense. It's like the difference between learning a language from a book versus actually going to that country and using it.
Exactly. And this applies to other areas too. One article talked about this benchmark called TAU bench. It measures how well AI can use tools. In Claude 3.5 Sonnet, it was 6.6% better in the retail tests and a whole 10% better in the airline ones, which are way more complicated. Think about that. For businesses, their AI tools suddenly that much better at getting things done.
Okay, I'm seeing the potential here and it's huge, but let's be real here. With great power comes, potential for things to go a little wrong. What are the risks with letting AI loose on our computers?
It's a good question. And the articles definitely bring up some downsides. One of the biggest ones right now is speed. It takes Claude time to process what it's seen on the screen, then tell itself what to do, then actually move the mouse and type. It's not as fast as us just clicking through stuff.
So if I need something done fast, I'm better off doing it myself for now.
For anything super time sensitive, probably. But this tech is changing so fast. What takes minutes today might take seconds tomorrow.
Okay, that's good to hear. What about other risks? I'm picturing an army of AI bots accidentally deleting my entire computer.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Anthropic knows how bad errors could be, and they're working on accuracy. But even small mistakes can be a problem, especially with sensitive info. That's why they're really pushing human oversight, especially now while it's still experimental.
So it's not about replacing humans, it's more like AI giving us a boost and working together.
Exactly. Finding that balance between what AI can do and using our own judgment.
speaking of judgment, one thing that stood out in these articles was all the ethics talk. It's not just what this tech can do, it's what it should do.
For sure. Anthropic is very open about the possibility of misuse, and they're taking steps to stop that. Like they're limiting Claude's ability to create accounts or make content on social media.
Well, that's good. The last thing we need is more AI-generated whatever it is going viral these days.
Right. It's a good example of Anthropic being cautious, which is so important with tech this powerful. They're restricting Claude's access to the really high-risk stuff until we have a better handle on it.
So safeguards are in place, but it's still early days. Are you saying this whole computer using AI thing is going to be totally different in a few years?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What we're seeing now are the first baby steps.
Yep.
It's like watching a whole new era in computing being born.
It's pretty mind-blowing thinking about all this potential. If you could ask Claude to do anything on a computer, but safely, what would be at the top of your list?
You know, I'm most excited about the research side of it. Imagine giving Claude some super complex question and then just letting it loose on all the data out there, scientific journals, historical records, news articles. It could put all that together in ways we can't even imagine, connecting dots we might never see.
You could do all that research for us. Crazy. But it makes you wonder, what can't it do on a computer that's like easy for us?
Well, even with how far it's come, speed is still a big problem. It takes Claude time to actually process what it's seeing on the screen. Then it has to tell itself what to do, then actually move the mouse and type. It's not as fast as us.
So no speed chess against AI just yet.
Not unless you've got a lot of time, but really things we don't even think about, like scrolling smoothly or dragging and dropping files. That takes really fine motor control, and AI is still working on that.
Makes sense. It's like when you learn something new with your hands, it's clumsy at first.
Exactly. And certain software is harder than others. Spreadsheets, for example. You need to click the exact right spot to get the right cells. One wrong move, and you've messed up your whole formula.
Ugh, yeah, I've been there. And I bet Claude can't yell at the computer to undo it.
Not yet, at least. But that reminds me of another limit. Anthropic's putting their foot down about Claude making accounts or posting on social media.
Good. The last thing we need is more AI-generated whatever it is going viral.
Right. It's a good sign that they're being careful, which is key with tech. It's powerful.
Yeah.
They're keeping Claude away from the really risky stuff, at least until we get a better handle on it.
So there are safeguards, but it's still the early days. What you're saying is this whole computer using AI thing is going to look totally different a few years from now.
Oh, absolutely. What we're seeing now, these are just the first baby steps. It's like we're watching this whole new chapter in computing unfold right in front of us.
It's really something. Thinking about all of this, if you could ask Claude to do anything on a computer, safely of course, what would be at the top of your list?
Honestly, I'm most excited about the research possibilities. Imagine giving Claude some crazy complex research question, and then just letting it loose on all the data out there. Scientific journals, historical archives, news articles. It could put together all that information in ways we haven't even thought of, making connections we might miss.
It'd be like the ultimate research assistant. It could revolutionize how we understand everything.
Exactly. It could be the key to solving these huge problems that seem impossible right now, from curing diseases to even tackling climate change.
Now that is something worth getting excited about, but it goes back to something you said before. This tech is only as good as the people behind it.
Exactly. That's what it all comes down to. We need to understand what something like Claude is capable of, but we also need to think about the ethics. It's our responsibility to guide this technology in the right direction.
And that's where our listeners come in. We've done our deep dive, but now we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on all of this excited concern? Let us know. What really stood out to you about Claude and these new skills?
Because this isn't just about one AI program. This is about how we as a society decide to use this technology, how we make it a part of our lives.
And that's a conversation we all need to be a part of. So until next time, keep those brains engaged, and we'll catch you back here for another deep dive.